So the next thing we're going to talk about is getting your first customers, which is by far more important than doing a business plan or doing market research. And it's a lot of content that people don't focus on when they start a business all the time. Although it's definitely the most important thing, because if you don't have customers, you're not a real business. Um, Getting customers is highly contingent on the type of business that you're starting. If you're starting a lawn service business, that's going to be really different than getting customers for, say, a retail type business. We're going to break down the different types of ways to attract customers. But again, our job in this section is to teach you how to get your first revenue, that first credit entry in accounting to revenue, to sales. That's where we want you, because that's where most people fail. They get wrapped up in compliance and getting accountants and lawyers and private placement memorandums, but they're not thinking about getting revenue. So the first way most people get customers is to sell. Sell is going from you to another person and selling your product or service. Nothing is more important than that in a lot of businesses, especially service businesses. The first component of this section, I'd say, that's really important is learning to sell. Selling is a learned skill. The truth is that some people are natural salespeople, some people are not, but most of us are kind of in the middle. And you've got to learn to sell in order to run any business. A side note I would mention, after having worked with hundreds of businesses, is that a lot of times people think that if they're sort of shy or they're reserved or whatever, they can't be a salesperson. The best salespeople I know are introverts. They listen real well because selling is about listening, not just talking at people. In fact, I would say the opposite is definitely true. If you're an extreme extrovert and you're just talking at people, you're not going to be successful. One important part of selling is facing rejection. I cannot overestimate how much rejection you're going to get. It is really hard to go out to market and try to sell your product or service and have people not buy it. So what you really need to realize just going in is that everyone faces rejection, and a lot of rejection, not a little bit. So for example, the next point is like learning about the ratio of sales to rejections. When I was doing landscaping back a long time ago in high school and college, what I learned was I had to put out like 100 flyers to get maybe 3 calls, and then I would go to those 3 people and I would pitch 3 people. And of those 3 people that I pitched or presented a proposal to, I would only get one job. So just think about that. That's 100 people you're touching, but you're only getting one job. So a lot of people who are inexperienced don't realize that you're going to be rejected a lot. I mean, people are going to say no a ton. You have to develop a hard exterior to you. You've got to develop sort of like this surface that's impenetrable and just realize you're going to get rejected. The next way to get sales is through word of mouth advertising. This is an interesting one because there's nothing that you do here. It's just being in the market. Even though we have the internet right now and social media and lots of really neat ways to advertise, there's nothing more powerful than what people say about you. In fact, if you think about Yelp and some of the online social media type mediums that are out there, it's really based upon word of mouth advertising. There's nothing to do here at all. There's no action step, except every time that you get a customer, make sure that customer is really happy. And then that customer will tell other people. And that's how most businesses grow. So I think what I would say before we go on to the next section is you can do all this other advertising stuff the right way or promotional stuff the right way. But if you don't have customer referrals, if you don't have people saying great things about your business, you're not going to be successful.